Welcome to baseline number 9 from the Ableton Live sound design tutorial series with me, Tom Cosm. G'day, welcome. This is number 9 of a series of baseline tutorials. We've gone through quite a few basslines already. We've gone through techno basslines, dubstep basslines, and psytrance basslines. Now we're up to number 9. We're getting near the end, so I thought I'd do something a little bit fun today. It's a pretty simple bassline, but it's the concept behind it is quite cool and quite fun and quite a good thing to learn. I'm going to do this at 170 BPM, so it's going to be a bit of a drum and bassy kind of tune. Here's a loop I've just dropped in that we're going to work with. It's not going to be hard drum and bass, it's going to be kind of funky, fun stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a MIDI track like usual, rename it bassline, remember the E, and we are away. And let's just load in an operator. We've just got a sine wave. So let's just add in a MIDI clip, Command-Shift-M, and let's put some notes in. I'll do this as quickly as I can, just so we can get an idea of how it's going to sound. Bring it up higher. Bring this one here, make these longer. That sounds good to me. Let's just listen to that loop. And let's just drag that loop out so we can hear it over and over in the loop. Now here's the fun part. We've got a simple sine wave here. That's all we've got. We're just going to use sine waves today, but we're going to create an interesting texture. What I'm going to do is quickly load up this plugin that I have called Visualizer by NewGen Audio. Highly recommend it if you're into looking at waveforms and stuff. It's just an EQ kind of view for us right there. Let's go into this view here, and we can actually see this is frequency here. The color defines how loud it is, and then of course time, it's moving down. If I play some notes here, we can see the pitch of where the note is, which is great, because if we go down here, we're going to start adding in harmonics. Now, harmonics are the overtones or the frequencies that play above the fundamental tone, the fundamental being the very bass tone, the lowest tone you can possibly get. And by adding harmonics up the top, over the top of it, by bringing the volume up of the harmonics, we actually get interesting ways to manipulate sound. Specifically, we can turn a sine wave into a saw wave by adding volume of more sine waves above the fundamental, which is the initial note. For example, here's a sine wave. Very simple, you can see it's solid there. But look what happens if I go into this oscillator mode over here in Ableton. They give us this great mode. I'm just going to click on 16. This is the fundamental. This is the note we're listening to. I can bring the volume down. Doesn't work there. Anyway, if we bring in the second harmonic here, you can see it slowly coming in. We can bring in the third one. And we've pretty much created a kind of a saw sounding sound now. If I go to 30-second mode, I can actually click and drag these down like this. Let's go to 64 and do it again. We're adding in all the harmonics, so we're bringing in lots of sine waves over the top of this initial one. We got ourselves a saw wave. But we can actually go in and we can subtract all of these, and we can just put one in. It's going a bit nuts, hang on. So let's bring all these down, all of them down like so, and let's just bring one in. See, we just got saw waves here. And again, here's the bass note. So this is the interesting thing about harmonics in the harmonic series, is you go up in the set of numbers a half, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. That's to say you multiply the fundamental by that particular value. You multiply the wavelength of the fundamental by that value, a half, a second, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. And by doing that to the wavelength, you're actually increasing the frequency of the note that's played. For example, if you have your second harmonic, which is the wavelength times a half, it's going to double the frequency, which is going to make it an octave higher. And this applies to all of the notes that you add in the harmonic series as they go up, which produces this great looking visual pattern here. You can see that there, it's exponential. Here's your half, here's your third, here's your fourth, here's your fifth, here's your sixth, here's your seventh. They just go up and up like that. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because we're not going to use this particular graph mode at the moment. We're just going to go back into 16. We're just dealing with a sine wave. Let's change that back to a sine wave. What we can do is this coarse value in these other oscillators in the operator actually move up through the harmonic series. They don't actually move up. So this isn't 2 octaves, this isn't 3 octaves, 4 octaves as most synths do. They actually go up a half, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and so on and so on. And this is really, really cool because what it means is we can actually add harmonically relative overtones using sine waves to the fundamental, and we can change the note around, and we know that those other oscillators that are playing are actually going to be harmonically nice no matter what key we play. And it's an effect which is really unique. It's a really unique sounding thing, especially when it's in a bass line. So I'll just show you this. First I'm going to go over to the global shell. I'm going to turn off this this FM frequency modulated algorithm. We're going to go to this one, so we're just adding in more sine waves as we bring the levels up in these oscillators. I'll keep with these notes for now. So again, there's my first fundamental. You can see it nice and solid. If I bring this level up here, it's just going to play the same note again, but louder. We don't want that. Let's take it up to the second one. So it's going to play an octave above because that's a half. So there's our octave, and let's bring this one up to 3. Now it's not going to play another octave above that initial note, it's going to play look at that, brilliant. And we can even go as far as to move this one up to 3 and move this one up to 4. Because that one's now a quarter times, it's bringing the frequency a quarter times this fundamental here. It's a fifth. It gets a bit gnarly after you get up to 7. Let's keep it there. Let's listen to our bass line now. Very, very cheesy, so let's open it up. I think it's an octave too high. I'm going to select or hold down shift and push down. Very cool. Now we can go into this pitch envelope. We can turn the pitch envelope on and turn the amount up, and it's actually going to apply to all of these, which is way too intense for now. Let's bring the decay time. Now the great thing is we don't actually have to stick with sine waves here. We can actually change these. Let's change the second one to a saw wave. Too much volume. And let's change this one to a square. See how that sounds. That pitch envelope is a bit too intense. I'm going to bring the decay back down a bit. Just going to consolidate this MIDI clip here, Command J, so we've got 2 versions of the same loop. And then let's bring this down, let's bring this up to there. Don't know if this will sound good, but it might be. Real cheesy, that's way too cheesy. Bring this down. This might be cheesy too, but yes, that is way too cheesy. We'll just stick with standard notes here. Bring this down, bring that down to here. Very cool. Now let's put a filter on it and give it some envelope, as we like to do. Actually, let's change the actual sine wave to a square. A saw, sorry. Give it a bit of resonance. Now we can bring these levels up a bit more. That last note is not good. Very cool. Let's put an LFO on. We'll take it off the A, B, C, and D oscillators just on the filter. Bring the amount up, and let's put it into sync mode here so we can sync this to time. We can change the actual wave shape of the LFO to something else. Let's put it at a square. That could be quite fun. And bring it short. That's not bad. Now, as usual, because we've mucked around with modulation and stuff so much, we've kind of gotten rid of the sub bass by accident. So let's group this track as usual, bring up a chain, add in another operator here, and we'll put a cutoff, we'll put an EQ so we can cut off the sub bass of that first synth that we worked on. We'll just call that high. And go back over here, click here. High pass filter. Then we've got a nice sub bass coming through. And we can give that a bit of punch now, that won't matter. Oh, look at that. Speed increase. Good news, you now have 2.5 gigabytes of storage space in Dropbox. What nice people. Let's bring that up. Bring the decay time down. Bring the peak up. Just so that sub has bass. Has punch, sorry. Let's have a listen together. Turn that pitch back on. That's pretty cool. I actually like that effect of the high, except I'd like to bring it back in the original sound we had. So let's duplicate that. Let's call this high 2, and let's have the high 2 doing its nice little thing. But let's change this high 1. We'll get rid of this square wave on the LFO. And let's make it an up saw, see what that sounds like. And we'll bring it down to maybe 8. Too much, maybe a quarter beat. Very cool, and let's give it some spread. So that particular chain, that one, is actually spread out in the stereo field. Very cool. Now we can actually play with these harmonics here if we like. We can actually change them around. Before we had a third and a fifth, I believe. Let's see how this sounds. Not bad. I might bring it back to what we had. It was sounding good. We'll change it to these ones here. Let's boost a few frequencies down in the lower end of this. Bit of more resonance maybe. And just for fun, let's duplicate it one more time. Actually, no, let's not duplicate it. Let's just add in something for a bit of power to it. We'll add an operator down in here. We should rename this one to sub, which we haven't done already. Drag this one up. We'll call this high 3. And this one, we'll just give it a straightforward waveform. Make it a square, maybe. We'll put a filter on it. We'll give it some envelope. We'll give it a bit of a tack time. Bit of resonance. Bring the frequency down so it starts off really cut off. Very cool. So I'm gonna finish there. I'm very happy with how that's sounding. That's bassline number 9. Remember, we work with the Harmonics series in this one. Highly recommend you check it out. go to Google, go to Wikipedia, look for Harmonics series brackets music. It's a very, very interesting topic. The whole Harmonics thing is a beautiful thing. One thing I like about it is it's the whole concept of as you increase the harmonic series a half, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, that particular set of numbers you can actually make infinitely out. So that set gets infinitely larger, but as you get infinitely larger, that set actually decreases down to zero, because you've got a half and then a third, which is less than a half, and a fourth, which is less than a third, etc. So that whole set goes down to zero, whereas the numbers go down to zero, is actually the whole set goes up off into infinity. So it's a very, very nice, very geeky but very nice little thing to think about. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for number 10. I'm going to go nuts on number 10 with some really crazy shit. I think I might bring everything together and make a really epic bass line. Thanks a lot. TomCosm.com.